Hold it, gamers. I know you want to watch EndWalker, but I'm here to tell you there's about to be major spoilers. You're in the main heart of this expansion. So be warned, if you haven't caught up with the videos or you haven't played EndWalker for yourself, go do it, or I will never stop being angry. But if you are caught up, please enjoy the video.
Not disposed to rest on the laurels, several of our guests have elected to accompany my countrymen to their stations. Some few may still come hither seeking counsel, and so I shall remain to aid them as needed. If thou art needed elsewhere, do not let me detain thee. Now, as a matter of fact, I was hoping you might check in on Alice. Last I saw, she was struggling to carry an enormous pile of boxes out the west gate. I could go myself, but we both know whose help she's less like to scorn. Not to mention that, much to my misfortune, I can think of several other things I ought to be doing. Until later.
You just don't want to feel the wrath of Allie say, BLUE! Warrior of Light, what are you doing out here? No, I don't mind if you help with the boxes, but it's far from the most exciting of tasks. Are you sure? Well, I appreciate the assistance. We need to get these to Aporia. Time is short, of course, but they're full of organic specimens and samples, so try not to be too rough with them. Alphino should be waiting for us when we arrive. I'll see you there. Yeah, 3 minutes.
Oh, hell.
They just start wiggling. It's like, oh, no. Why are you so far away?
I love our poses as we like pull these boxes as we're running around, as we're running forward. It's just like hop, 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 hop. I still can't get over like when we were doing like this little sort of thing in Razat Hans. Just Silver was the first one to get the super big one. Just carrying it over his head.
Yeah!
Like, just super fucking strong.
I mean,
Like damn growling, you swole.
been a warrior all his life. What do you want? A warrior and a politician, but still.
Alphino, quick, before they bust out of the box.
You can put that down with the others. You have my gratitude, but how did you come to be involved in this?
I was bored.
And I suppose I have Thancred to thank as well. If you're wondering why we were tasked with bringing these boxes to Aporia, to begin with, so was I. It turns out that this is the base of operations of sorts. Those with final say as to what is included in the ship's manifest can be found here. Father included, I suspect. Oh, damn! Oh,
That should
okay.
be everything.
You carried all of that at once? Are you trying to injure yourself?
Oh, hush. They're lighter than they look. Not everyone has your delicate arm.
Damn.
I suppose we should let someone know that we finished.
Theopaldin is in the courtyard. We can report to him.
Why don't you come along? You should get credit for your assistance at least. Considering where we are, we might even learn something interesting. Did she call my arms delicate?
God, it never ends, does it? What can I do for you?
We brought samples from Charlie and Hamlet. Series 110. The crates are by the entrance.
Ah, thank you. I had expected one of my colleagues, but we are dreadfully short-handed. Just a moment. You are Fourchenault's children, are you not? Alphino and Alice at your service. You're well acquainted with father, I take it? Quite. I've been friends with your parents since our days at the studio. I remember when you were yay-high, waddling hither and thither. Clearly it's been some time since we've met. Tis good to see you again. Really your father's newless, no less.
You knew our parents when they were young? What were they like? Pray, spare no detail.
I should like nothing more than to regale you. Alas, I am meant to be in charge here, and reams of paperwork want for submission.
We can help with that, in exchange for the sort of stories our parents would never willingly divulge, of course.
Very well then. There happen to be 3 sets of documents in need of delivery, so how about you each take one?
Wait right there. Thank you.
You will find a foreign representative waiting to collect these near the southernmost structure. I hope I haven't kept her waiting too long. Never mind Alphino and Alice. I'm certain they will be back soon enough.
God damn it. It's like it heard me talking shit. Are you not one of the Scions of the Seventh Dawn? I thought you were meant to be working on the Aether Burner.
The nature of this paperwork is not particularly well guarded. Is not a particularly well guarded secret. But due to how dull it is to read, it will nevertheless remain largely unknown.
Theopoldin's paperwork. I was beginning to worry he had misplaced his quill. I appreciate your help in seeing these documents to my hands at last. As for your other task, pray keep this between us, but I sincerely hope you Scions succeed. The Exodus is, without a doubt, the most monumental undertaking in the history of the Forum, and so we must be circumspect in all respects. Risk is a privilege we cannot afford ourselves. At its heart, however, Charlian has ever been a nation of the curious. It would be a tragedy indeed if we were the ones to stem your pursuit of truth. Hans.
Quick and efficient. I dare say you have a talent for this work. The twins' papers only needed to be delivered to elsewhere in the facility, so they should be returning any moment.
They both come back with like fucking hordes of monsters behind them. Shit!
We return, with not a scrap of paperwork remaining on our persons, you will note.
You both have my thanks, and my apologies for sending you on an errand far below your ambitions. Why, even as a babe, you struggled out of your swaddling clothes and...
That is quite enough of that, thank you. It was compromising stories of our parents that we asked to hear and to reiterate.
Of course. I've known your father for so long. I must have something. Well, as you know, part of why the levy your name garners such respect in Charlian is your family's storied history. You two can trace your ancestry directly to those who came abroad, Newcrep's hope, a lineage few can claim.
I've never thought much of it myself. It's not as though our forebears founded our nation, though they were simply there when it happened.
Nevertheless, it has traditionally been a point of pride. 'Tis why Newcrep's pronouncement, renounce the ways of war and pursue enlightenment through knowledge and reason, has ever been our family's creed. Until your grandfather's time, Archon Louis looked not only to Newcrep's words, but his deeds. He asserted, in defiance of his peers, that choosing to save the great and the small from the rising tides was the true mark of our founder's virtue. Perhaps it was his expertise, his knowledge of ancient prophecy and the fall of civilizations, that led him to conclude that eschew conflict at every turn was to consign or cosign mankind to his doom.
There will ever be conflict and calamity will follow. Thus, to ignore the plight of those who might conceivably save is not wisdom, it is indolence.
You remember his words well. Indeed, Archon Louisoix lived by that personal creed and used every means at his disposal to bring succor to those in need, Charlian or no. No one loved and admired your grandfather more than his son. Yet Fourchenault could not reconcile Louisoix's deeds with the philosophy of their forebears and his peers. A philosophy in which he believed so fervently, yet made a pariah of his father. Fourchenault agonized over this contradiction for much of his life. God's father! A son may carry his father's blood, but his choices are his own to bear. Is it not always thus? Gods know Fourchenault's a cranky old goat, so I'm sure you butt heads often enough. Yet even so, you must know that you are constantly in his thoughts, every moment of every day, and that is not an exaggeration in the slightest. You should have seen him when you were born. Barely recognizable he was, with a kind of dumbfounded grin I'd not seen since he first took a fancy to your mother. He was practically skipping when he told me the news. Take my word for it, he loves you to an embarrassing degree. But he is also frustratingly single-minded. Once he's decided that a given action is for the best, he will stay the course no matter who or what opposes him. A profoundly annoying habit when you are on the other end of it, as I'm sure you will agree.
I'll say.
Thank you for your insight. When next we meet our partners, our parents, we shall mention that we spoke. Try not to get me into too much trouble now. I need the forum on my side. Speaking of which, I ought to get back to work. I have to make sure those specimens you brought make it to their proper places, or the cranky old goat will have my hide. We can speak again later.
I love that so much.
That's when you know he's not joking around. Like, yeah, that's his best friend.
Hail, you three.
Hello.
Oh. Graha, surely Cockle hasn't driven you out of the forge already.
For better or for worse, no. However, he has set me a task that requires more than my single pair of hands, and here you are. I could at least use one of you, but I won't object to more. Unfortunately, Alize and I have prior commitments, and we have delayed too long as it is.
What about you, Warrior of Light? Can you spare the time?
I got nothing else going on. I don't need to shoot shit, so why not?
Perfect. This shouldn't take long. Anything for you, my hubby?
Of course you would.
It's usually whenever I'm told I have.
Okay, next.
Okay. Once forged. In the event that our, and I quote, promised heap of adamantine falls right out of the bloody sky and into my lap, Master Cockle wishes to be ready to put the proverbial hammer to anvil at a moment's notice. To fabricate these parts, however, he needs the flames in Coco's forge to burn hotter. He sent me to increase the amount of aether being funneled into his furnaces. The flow of fire aspect of aether in Labyrinthos is regulated by an elemental reactor south of here, to which I have borrowed the key. The adjustment will require 2 people to carry out safely, but I can explain the process when we arrive.
This is where we part, then. We'll meet you in Charlian Hamlet once the Adamantite arrives, if not before.
This way, then. reactor is housed within this facility. I'll be the one to go inside and adjust the fire and ether output. When I do, a rather large amount of water aspect ether will issue from the vent at the top. I expect this to attract at least a few elementals, in which we would both rather not to be drawn into the reactor itself. Trust me. Can I ask you that you put down any that draw too near? They'll pose you little trouble, I'm sure. Wait here if you would.
Waiting. Get out of here! Stupid fire! Okay, Groundhog's done.
Where are you going?
Did not see it. It popped up as soon as I went over there.
We just had to spin around in the circle.
Did everything go smoothly out here? I thought as much. No major complications to speak of inside either. And the water ether appears to be venting properly. I expect Kako will have seen a difference in his forge flames by the time I return. Since I have you, there was another matter I thought to discuss with you. Nothing terribly important, really something I've been considering. Part of this, I shared with everyone, yet you and only you have been to Elvis. As we've established, refined adamantite is a product of Alec, of the Empire's twilight years, in fact. It was a material which saw much use as part of the Allegan's efforts to extend beyond the bounds of this world. Adamant, of course, being the most prominent. Of those who would push further, expand Alec's empire to encompass the heavens and the stars above, perhaps the greatest was its infamous technologist, Amon.
Amon wanted to travel the Sea of Stars.
Did you remember his life as Hermes? I believe he had his own reasons. There is no evidence to suggest that he retained memories of his former life. He only joined the Asians once the Empire was all but dust, as you know. If not his memory, though, what drove him to pursue the idea with such fervor? This may seem far-fetched, but what if souls, like minds, have a personality, so to speak, a natural disposition towards which they are inclined? We know with relative certainty that it was the gross decadence and inexorable decline of Alec that moved Amon to resurrect Emperor Zan. The Empire's people spoke lightly of death and destruction, experimenting on those they deemed beneath them to fill the emptiness in their hearts. In facilitating Zan's return, Amon provided these languid souls with the means to free themselves from the mire of their own indolence. Or would have, had not Zan been convinced by his own death that life itself was meaningless. Amon's desire for his countrymen to conquer the heavens could only be a means to the same end, to instill the people with new purpose. Like Hermes before him, Amon was appalled by how those around him lived, but could never bring himself to believe that those lives were devoid of meaning. And both of them sought that meaning, that hope, in the distant stars. Such is my theory, anyway. Ultimately, it is the consequences of their actions which matter. Their motives are of no moment, and yet, to reach the stars on wings of adamantite to travel to the ends of creation and beyond. The promise of hope everlasting. That much I do understand. But enough musings for now. Why don't we go see how Kako's getting on? Ooh, I can feel those flames up blazing from here. Glad you found someone capable, Graha. But there's not much left for you lot to do. Lest you can conjure up that refined adamantite any faster.
No, I can't do that, damn sorry.
Bones of adamant. I do trust you to deliver on your promise. I do. Only... I hate waiting! I want the adamantite and I want it now! We, share your impatience, I assure you. Is there truly nothing else we can assist with in the meantime? I wish this sitting about's unbearable. Pity the forum frowns on recreational explosions. Well, so long as they can't prove it was premeditated, get you gone. I've got mistakes to make. Wow, Andrew, is that for you?
Shut up!
I'm sorry, that really got me.
Before slap some ice on your nipples.
Explosive ice?
Explosive ice.
In that case, I suppose I should go and return the key to the reactor. I'll have one more look to make sure that nothing has gone wrong, unintentionally or otherwise. I'm certain there are better uses for your time, however. I will join you at Charlie and Hamlet anon. With your companion?
Yeah!
Where the fuck are these bastards? Microphone spell. Where the fuck are you?
Probably voiced.
Oh yeah, there's definitely voiced.
All set, I take it?
Yeah, wife.
We finished what we could, delivered supplies, tracked down escaped animals, trivial tasks as they may be.
That's enough, don't you think? If there was anything more important still undone, that would be a problem in itself.
The vessel is essentially ready for departure. All that remains is to load the final batch of supplies and see everyone on board. Once we've readied the ether burner, that is.
Ah, had a feeling we might find you all here.
Our consultations with the Loperites, too, have run their course. Pleased I am to say that our researchers' concerns have for the most part been allayed, though some insist on making adjustments to the very end. For their part, Livingway and her peers have graciously offered to stay and keep the people company, lest any lingering queries go unanswered.
Stupid.
All that remains is to wait for the refined adamantite.
Fourchenault, are you there? It's me, Cryo. Your special delivery has arrived. Round up everyone and come to the harbor at once.
Your special delivery.
Speak of the devil. Let us go at once.
Yeah.
Forgive the intrusion, Master Fourchenault. I bring urgent news. A great commotion has broken out in Scholar's Harbor. Your presence is requested, with all speed.
Now, where might this delivery be?
Why are we staring at feet?
Oh. My load time so fucking slow.
Yeah, I was in the same boat.
And then I see like, oh, a lot of models.
Yeah, and they're all frozen to help with the frame rate.
Oh.
That's
I'm sure
a
it's
lot.
very important, but we cannot accept these without the proper permits.
Oh,
12. Surely.
bruh!
This can't
Bruh.
be.
Yo! What is happening, Kate? Sis?
Hellfire. They're bringing them by sea and by air. All these folks and these crates.
All this work we've done.
And more on the way. Got your adamantite right here. A bigger haul than any of these sorry bastards brought, and that's no lie.
Yes, because you were charged with seeing the shipments from Gridania and Uldar
The
here,
Manolane
along
don't.
with your own. Give credit where credit is due.
Sounds like the sorry whinging of a sore loser. An hypocrite to boot. Ain't no way a scrawny whelp like you took a dozen steps inside a Adamant shard.
I'll have you know, I went all the way to the entrance. It was my contacts that enabled us to enlist the cooperation of the Sky Pirates.
Left you outside so you wouldn't get anyone killed, did they? Well then, credit where credit's due, you did a right fine job sitting on your ass.
Take that back.
God damn it, Emmeline, would you just settle down? Why are you the way you are?
My, what a grand welcome party.
What's up?
Hancock, Saraban.
Where's Siriu?
Bro.
We come bearing relics both sacred and elegant, as well as a few other gifts that may be of help, to be presented with best wishes from the Eastern Alliance. Our friends in Bosnia, for instance, have sent along a few artifacts for the brave allies of the Resistance. That's you.
That's me.
I myself have come with a sacred relic of Rayson Temple. 'Twas passing fortunate that Senri's dango craving brought us to Kugane. We arrived precisely as Hancock was making his arrangements.
Yes.
Upon learning of your need, we made haste back to Hell's Lid, with our dango, never fear, and consulted with the other auspices. All consented to the lending of Tenzin's legendary Phoenix Blade for this noble cause.
Yo.
Suzaku and Seiryu were nevertheless worried that it might be lost in transit, however, and insisted upon accompanying me to Onokoro, where I had intended to entrust it to our Confederate allies. I thought instead to give it over to Hancock when we chanced to cross paths yet again. But alas, Seiryu remained ill at ease, and ordered me see the blade into your hands personally, or die trying.
We did, of course,
We've got so many friends.
Vessel to get it all here in time.
Oh, it's the ship from the fucking Evilise raid.
Fortunately, our majestic associates have been more than helpful. Tis an honor to join the Warrior of Light on another adventure, they tell me. That is all wonderful to hear, but what of the extraordinary cost? I shudder to think of the ransom we must pay for such a bounty.
No, you shudder from Tataru's wrath.
Fret not for your coin purse, young Alphino. Lord Lolorito looks ever towards the profits of the future, and thus the East Aldenard Trading Company went to some lengths to reduce the financial liability. And since the Scions funded the entire venture, not
my
a guild will be
baby.
rendered up in compensation. Everything is already yours. We funded the venture. When?
Who do you think, dumbass? Mwah.
Don't let the name fool you.
I love
This
that.
coin keeper knows a thing or two about spending. When it comes to capital investiture, a sprinkling of gil here and there will not do. You need enough savings to make waves when it really counts. Which is why frugality is paramount.
Yeah.
We also
Yeah.
have the benefit of a generous patron. Generous being rather an understatement. She has supported us from the shadows since the very founding of the Scions. We even had coffers to fill.
Mother!
Millions.
I remain, of course, an entirely neutral party. I simply thought our family's coffers were needlessly full.
Oh my god.
We can hardly take them with us on your teeny tiny toy boat, now can we? And would be a shame to leave all that hard-earned wealth unspent.
I love her.
Waste not.
Oh, they're besties.
However did you manage so much in so short a time?
No, that's who it was.
Words reach only a fraction of our allies.
Did I not tell you I have my ways?
Erenville, you were involved too.
I received a letter from Cryle after we parted ways in Labyrinthus. She explained what the Scions were trying to accomplish, and why you might soon require the services of the Gleaners, spread across the world as we are. I pray you do not interpret this as a betrayal of Charlotte. I accept that the Forum's aim in pushing us to our limits was to preserve what knowledge we have, and I bear you no ill will for it. Yet, in collecting that knowledge, what I came to appreciate most about our star is that there remains so much we do not know. That is why I chose to help the Scions, to combat the obliteration of those countless undiscovered wonders. I held no illusions that they would be less demanding taskmasters. Though, rest assured, if I had...
Oh
I would have been
my
sorely
god!
disappointed.
Oh, I'm flipping shit!
To make a long story short, the whole of the guildship cooperated to ensure your call was heard far and wide.
Yo!
What's this about a ship that can fly to the moon? And why didn't you mention it sooner? The one time you don't beg my aid, your problem's a bloody ship that can fly to the moon.
See it? You brought the team.
Really?
Of course. Garland Ironworks' finest. You need only point us towards my new favorite ship. Oh, I nearly forgot. We stopped by Whirlwind before coming here and picked up a package from Gaius.
Yeah. What's the package?
He's still of the mind that actions make for better penance than words, contrite or otherwise.
What is it?
So we offer none of the latter. What he sent is an Allegan relic Valens used in his weapons experiments. Has a fair bit of refined adamantite in it too.
Yo, right.
As you like us not suspect, we've also brought adamantite from Mordona's Dalamud shard. I admit to some consternation upon first receiving Kryl's message. So few Scions remain at the Rising Stones now. Far too few for such an expedition. However, the Gleaners were able to secure us reinforcements. Idleshire's treasure hunters, not least among them. I know. the Gobbyflock fought. Slowfix's gratitude for the safe
God.
return of his daughter has not waned, and he gathered his kin to our side with an astounding quickness. The clash between their machina and the Allegan defences was a sight to behold. I wager even you would have been impressed by the magnitude of the gobby booms.
Fascinating as all this is, I fail to see how it explains your presence here. Does Razat Khan not have more pressing concerns?
We do. Yet averting the final days would be the most expedient solution. That, and I am indebted to you. Though they chose to take their leave of Thavner, those you saved in Galimund remain my people. My gratitude is beyond words. 'Tis appropriate that I aid you in kind. If in the doing we bring salvation to others of this star, so much the better. You will recall that I spoke of my father, Midgard Sumur, and his journey across the great expanse. As he traveled betwixt the stars, his resplendent scales drank of the ether in those nigh empty surrounds, and imparted to him the strength to persevere. Thinking they might further
That's
your
what it was
cause,
for.
I called out to my kin for consent. Ajdaya's answer was silence, as ever. Tiamat and Chris-Velgre, however, responded favorably to the suggestion. My sire, too, stirred from his slumber long enough to speak and say, "Very well." Thus have I brought you his own worm scales. Fit them to your purpose, and seek a worthier fate for us all.
You'd be hard-pressed to find someone else so familiar with the unique properties of dragon scales. So I invited myself.
Bugger me, this is so unbelievable. I've gone right back round to believing it again. Forget a 6% gain in efficiency. With all these goodies, we could get 7, no? 10, no? 14 bleeding percent. Think of how far we could go! What we could do with that much power! What we could blow up!
We don't have to blow things up. It's okay.
If Kokol is duly convinced, then it must be true. In which case, the science end of the bargain has been fulfilled. Would you not agree?
Yeah.
Yes, Father?
Hug your children.
I know not what you seek of Hydaelyn, nor for what purpose you would take command of our ship. Yet this much is certain. To do so will be to dictate the fate of this star and the lives upon it. The lives of each and every creature, in their magnitude and their fragility. Do you understand? And are you prepared?
We have seen and we have felt how much each life shapes this world. And so we are determined to abandon none. We understand what is at stake, and we are prepared to bear this burden.
Then I will bear it with you. I beg you, share your struggles with me. As family. You grasped my fingers with such tiny hands the day you were born. I thought my heart might burst. It was love and happiness beyond expression. Overwhelming. And a conviction so powerful that I trembled with something close to rage. I had heard the final days foretold. I swore to myself then and there that I would not let them steal your futures. The great exodus would succeed, must succeed. No sacrifice or sin was worse than the alternative. If anything gave me pause, 'twas mine own father. The Archon Louisois openly decried Charlian's policies, a perspective which I regarded with increasing disdain as I grew older. Yet even as part of me thought him a fool, perhaps I also hoped that he, of all people, would devise a brilliant means to save my children. A naive hope, but stubborn enough that I could never bring myself to keep you apart. No, that was his doing, when he perished at Fourchenault. As we pulled that twisted slab of Adamant from the sea, I remembered the warmth of your newborn touch. Chastened, I vowed never again to suffer any interference in my mission to protect you. No matter that you yourselves wished otherwise. Detest me, fight me tooth and nail, I would suffer it, and more, and be satisfied so long as I could force you onto the ship. I was wrong. You two have grown so much stronger, and so much wiser than I dared dream. You have earned the right to walk your own path, and already begun to do so.
Good. Because there are things we care about, and people we love, and none of them is replaceable. Not a one.
It cannot have been an easy journey for you to have come so far.
We shall be glad to acquaint you with the finer details someday, once this danger has passed. All that we have seen and heard, that we have felt and learned in our travels. Ours is not a kind world, but it is beautiful. Always.
Oh no. Are you quite sure that's wise? After all, someone turns pale and flees the room when he sees so much as an envelope containing word of your adventures. Whatever will happen if he learns what you were really up to?
Millions. Though I have wronged my children most gravely, I owe you an apology as well. I assumed that it was the Scion's influence that made them so keen to charge headlong into danger. Yours, in particular. I see now that said influence instead brought them together with the many fine people gathered here today. In which case, I hope you continue to guide them.
If we've finished loitering about the harbor, might I suggest we put our plans into motion? People are beginning to look confused.
Perhaps you can spare a few words ere they resume the tedious lugging of cargo. You have no small number of friends and admirers here, after all.
Lend us your strength.
Your assistance is appreciated. Now, in an orderly fashion, if you please.
To clear the harbor, which means the rest is in the engineer's capable hands. Meanwhile, Father has issued us an invitation. As was agreed, he will review the means by which Highland may be contacted. We are to meet him at Emporia when we are ready. Given the vital knowledge she holds, I suggest we leave without delay. It transpires, however, that the forum's method for speaking with her is not without risks. I am curious to hear what those might entail, but regardless, be warned.
Most of those who arrived with the Adamantite have offered to stay and see to any remaining tasks that need doing. The forum has already asked for my assistance in overseeing the process, so you needn't worry about a thing.
Thank you, Tatara. We're off to Emporia.
One day they'll walk away so I can change my glams.
Yeah, I need to put on.
I've already shown the others inside. You will want to speak with Clarinane. She has the key to the lift and can send you down after me.
I would have worn the steampunk, but I already technically have one, which is my warrior glam. You're with Master Fourchenault, yes? Step aside the lift here. Let me in!
From here we proceed to the heart of Labyrinthos and its most closely guarded secret, Thaumazen. It marks the beginning and end of our efforts, whence we delve to seek audience with the star, and whence when we will embark on our journey to heaven. This way, if you please.
I wasn't expecting the doors to just open.
Whoa! Holy shit!
Just kind of flashbanged me with that. I thought usually we just talk to people. Bro!
You sure this is something from this game?
I bid you welcome to Thaumazen. Direct your attention towards its center to behold the arc over which we have long labored.
I see it. I can't help but see it.
As you can see, it was designed as a medium-sized craft, the better to reduce fuel consumption. Miniaturizing magics have been applied to its interior to ensure that the thrust-to-weight ratio does not place too great a limitation on its freight capacity. The Aether burner, as you know, has been removed for further modification, but we shall reattach it soon enough. I have received word that Cockle and several of your allies are working on it with intense fervor. They are sure to see it done. 'Twas by their expertise that many a prior disaster was averted. If anything, I fear they will not afford us much time for speaking with Heidelin ere they finish. Point taken. Let us move on. I must warn you again, however, that even with the benefit of our device, to treat with her is not a simple feat. I have done what I can to impress upon you the gravity of what lies ahead. Are you prepared?
Gave me a hat.